My friend, I'm glad to welcome you to this course where we get the chance to build. And I just want to start with a quote that means a lot to me. It's not the beauty of a building you should look at. It's the construction of the foundation that will stand the test of time. Thank you to David Allen Cole. And in the context of this NSX course, the building that people are going to look at are going to be virtual machines working, doing their job, connecting to other resources on a virtual network. But the foundation of that is going to be the NSX infrastructure that you build. And that infrastructure is going to be built primarily of what? Logical switches and routing devices. So let's take a look at what it's going to mean to start building switches and routers in this course. So without belaboring this, I just want to make sure that we're clear as to what is expected in terms of infrastructure that's going to already have been built before we get to building our switches and routers, and then where exactly those switches and router objects are going to live and what they're going to look like. So our expectations is that we've got an NSX manager hooked up to a vCenter server. That vCenter server is going to be responsible for clusters of ESXi hosts, and those hosts are going to have distributed switches set up to be able to act as VTEPs, as endpoints for VXLAN traffic. In addition, when we're talking about our distributed services, if we expect those to be informed and replicating using unicast communication, then we'll need to have deployed our NSX controller cluster. So with all that behind us, where are we going now? First, we're going to be deploying VXLANs. And we say deploying VXLANs, but really what we're building are logical switches that are distributed to all those ESXi hosts that are participating with virtual machines that are plugged into those switches. And then any of those devices will be able to communicate with each other without ever having to touch the physical network. It'll all be encapsulated within the VXLAN protocol. We'll also be deploying distributed logical routers. And those DLRs are going to be there so that as we build out our various different VXLANs, they'll be able to route to each other, again, without ever having to touch the physical network. But then in addition to the DLR, we're going to want to be able to support a perimeter edge service gateway. And so for that, we will deploy a separate virtual machine called the Edge Service Gateway, which is really just a router that supports a lot of extra services that we'll be looking at down the road. But initially, its core job is going to be to function as just that, the perimeter gateway between our virtualized world and the rest of our enterprise. So along the way, we're going to be looking at VTEP, MAC, ARP, and routing tables, managing things in both the graphical environment and using the command line tools, implementing various different dynamic routing protocols, even multiple protocols working together, and adding some of those unique situational tools, such as high availability, equal cost multipath routing, universal switches and routers, and layer 2 bridging. There'll be plenty of concepts, demonstrations, and hands-on labs along the way. So buckle in, get excited, because we are going to build the actual network infrastructure of NSX together. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.